there's a car that's coming on the right hand side. We were always on the left hand side. This right hand side car's come now, the Leon, the blue one, has come straight next to me and come right in front of me. Not very close. I've always said to myself, I'm a very good driver when it comes to this. I've been driving for 5 years, 45 years. And I've said to myself, always keep a 2 to 3 second rule gap, always, when I've said to myself. Always done that.
Not all killers are good liars. Some killers are so narcissistic that they're more preoccupied with putting themselves in a favorable light than escaping justice. Just look at Mahek Bukhari faking her TikTok fame.
Oh my days, is that maybe vlogs, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
I'm a massive fan, honestly.
Oh my God, no way. That means a lot. Thank you.
But your car's looking sweet with them underglows still.
Mahek and Ansreen Bukhari's story is a tragic one, though. When Ansreen made a terrible mistake cheating on her husband with a possessive, manipulative man half her age, Mahek stepped in to help, except Mahek's methods were even less ethical than her mom's behavior. And on one fateful night in 2022, Mahek made the worst possible decision. What happened to Saqib and his friend Mohammed that night? What led Mahek to pursue them so brutally? And how was she caught? Let's explore the case of the TikToker girl who became a mass murderer. When paramedics found Saqib Hussain and Mohammed Hashim Ijazuddin, they were unidentifiable. Their charred remains lay in their crushed car on a highway in Leicester, UK for hours before they were noticed. It was around sunrise on February 11, 2022. That a truck driver noticed the wreckage and phoned the emergency services to come have a look. The driver assumed this had been an unfortunate accident, and so did the paramedics. Going at full speed, there's always the risk of a lethal crash. Perhaps these two were intoxicated, but when the bodies were transported to a local hospital and identified via dental records, an autopsy was performed, and it turns out they were not intoxicated. And then it was the detective's turn to check the CCTV footage around the highway. An even grimmer discovery was made. 2 cars had forced the 2 friends to lose their lives that night. First, a woman named Natasha was arrested while driving her blue seat around 5 a.m. that morning. The blue seat was one of the 2 cars seen on the surveillance camera footage. 2 hours later, authorities arrived at Mahek and Ansreen Bukhari's home.
So we stayed here and then we went straight to Nottingham.
Right. Okay. In the Audi?
Yes, Audi. Yeah.
Right.
Mahek and Ansreen Bukhari were arrested on suspicion of murder. Over the following days, officers would identify 8 people involved in taking the 2 friends' lives. While some admitted their involvement, others stayed quiet, requested lawyers, and pointed their fingers at their other 7 friends. The loudest of them all was 21-year-old Mahek. She portrayed herself as an excellent driver and acted offended by the officers even accusing her of such a heinous action. Except Mahek was the mastermind behind this horror show. Soon, she would be in prison, and the dramatic love story between her mom and Saqib would be unveiled. Mahek Bukhari was born in 1999 to parents Ansreen and Ali. She grew up in Stoke-on-Trent. This is a small town in the middle of the UK, but Mahek acted like she was a big-town sensation, even when she didn't have any online followers. She was your typical popular girl in school, doing random things for attention and turning up at 8 in the morning dressed as though she was going to a nightclub. If you asked her schoolmates about her, they would say she was always confident, popular, and a bit arrogant. If you asked her teachers, they would say she was an entitled brat. She had bad grades, a tendency to skip school, and to boss around everyone around her, even the teachers. After graduating from high school, Mahek only lasted in university for about a semester and a half. Before the first year was over, she dropped out and went on TikTok. While TikTok can give you some quick cash and instant gratification, a university can give you a lifelong career and a purpose in life. But Mahek did not think that far ahead. She just wanted to be famous. She always did. So she made a living out of wearing revealing clothes and shiny makeup. It's safe to say her entire sense of self-worth lay in her number of followers. By the time she was 19, her account, Maybe Vlogs, became her only passion. Initially, she didn't have that many followers, so she decided to post videos portraying herself as famous. She enlisted a friend to act like a die-hard fan, excited to spot her in Stoke-on-Trent.
Is that maybe vlogs? Is that maybe vlogs? Oh my days, is that maybe vlogs, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
I'm a massive fan, honestly.
Oh my god, no way. That means a lot. Thank you.
But your car's looking sweet with them underglows still.
As you can imagine, this trick didn't really propel her to stardom. But when she started posting TikToks together with her mom, her fan base skyrocketed.
I'm back, guys. We are currently in the Blue Mosque. I'm here with my mom. Hi. Mom, how beautiful is the mosque?
Beautiful, amazing.
So nice. Like, words can't describe how beautiful it is.
But people really seemed to enjoy this mother-daughter duo. At her social media peak, Mahek had 135,000 followers on TikTok, 38,000 followers on Instagram, and 4,000 YouTube subscribers. And it wasn't just online strangers who enjoyed this. Ansreen was elated that she got to spend so much time with her adult daughter. She felt like she was growing into an independent woman, and she worried about growing apart. Now this worry was gone. They were best friends. She said in an interview, "We were quite proud because I wasn't allowed to go to university and I wanted my daughter to go. She wanted to be more on Instagram as an influencer, and on TikTok we weren't disappointed." Ansreen was born in Pakistan and moved to the UK with her family when she was still a child. But despite the change of scenery, her family stuck to the traditional ways. "I had dreams of becoming an air hostess, but my parents were quite strict, so I was never allowed to go to college to study to become one." Ansreen's parents forced her into an arranged marriage with Ali and ordered her to become a full-time mom. Ansreen never felt like she was in control of her life. Everything was dictated by her parents. So Ansreen and Ali had 2 kids, Mahek and her younger brother, and Ali was the only full-time breadwinner. Ansreen would only take part-time, low-paying jobs, and she would never hold one for more than a few months or a year. But when Mahek reached TikTok stardom, Ansreen decided to quit those kinds of jobs altogether and become her daughter's manager. Through promotion deals with clothing companies, Mahek and Ansreen got to travel together to all the big cities in the UK. Mahek's dad, Ali, was also happy that Ansreen would tag along. He felt her daughter was safer this way. However, he never imagined his wife would begin an affair with a man 25 years her junior. Saqib Hussain met Ansreen on an app named Azar. Ansreen said, "We started talking from there. We were chatting every day, so we exchanged numbers. After we exchanged numbers, he would call every day. It would be 5 times. I didn't think it was strange in the beginning. Didn't think it was strange?" Ansreen could be forgiven. She hadn't been on the dating scene before. Her only romantic experience was an arranged marriage, so she assumed Saqib was just infatuated with her. He was young, right? Well, if someone calls you 5 times a day and buys you super expensive presents within days of meeting you, maybe it's best to run. Ansreen and Saqib's affair lasted for about a year and a half, but more often than not, it seems like Saqib love-bombed her into seeing him more than Ansreen was in love with him. Saqib bought Ansreen oodles of expensive gifts, spending around £3,000 in just 1 year. Among the presents were luxury clothes, shoes, an Apple Watch, and meals at London's high-end restaurants. The problem was that Saqib wanted something in return, Ansreen's undying love. Saqib was very insecure. Even when Ansreen asked him to stop it with the gifts, he continued, and they only got more expensive. He thought he was securing her love, but the more he insisted, the more Ansreen felt like pulling away. She wouldn't always respond to his grand gestures, and she wouldn't talk about him 24/7. But Saqib did. His friends heard him say that he was completely in love with her and didn't even care she was married. He was going to make her divorce Ali and marry him. As if you can make someone do something. Ansreen, on the other hand, confessed that she was very ashamed and embarrassed about spending a few nights with Saqib. So, on December 10th, 2021, Ansreen met Saqib at a London hotel and broke things off. Here's where it gets messy. Of course, if a person wants out of a relationship, you have to set them free. While 2 people are required to enter a relationship, only one is required to end it. But Saqib did not accept Ansreen's decision. Ansreen would remember, "Nothing happened while we were at the hotel apart from speaking with each other. I wanted to end it, but he wanted to continue. He wasn't listening at all. Things got worse and worse. And when Mahek got involved, it took a turn for the tragic." Saqib would beg Ansreen for another chance, and when she did not reply, he would become aggressive, threatening to reveal their affair to her husband. And if Saqib would call Ansreen 5 times a day during happy times, imagine how horrible he was now. The authorities' report states, various messages between them show he became increasingly obsessive, professing love and begging her to continue, but other messages show anger and frustration that she wouldn't return his calls. Ansreen said, if I was ignoring him, if my daughter was on TikTok Live, someone would make up a fake account and say, tell your mom to call me. At this point, he was downright scary. And when Ansreen blocked his phone and social media accounts, he began contacting her on different numbers with ever more aggressive threats. This is a text he wrote her in January 2022. You dumb bee, I'll send your son pictures of you, I'll ruin it, I don't give a saji sauce. When I'm mad, I'm mad. I have nothing to lose. I'll send videos to your whole family. You know what I'm capable of. I'm going to send your son one you first. Your son's going to see them videos now of us in the hotel, okay? Don't make me everything up. Are you going to call or shall I make your husband mad? Honestly, how can you claim you love someone and then talk to them this way? This is not love. It's a toxic nightmare. After weeks of this, Mahek decided to intervene. At last, Saqib met his match. This is a text he received from her. This year you'll be gone, Saqib. I've got every threat you've given my mom to expose her. Narcissistic b*****. Carry on speaking to her now, you will see movement soon. Mahek also told her mom, I'll soon get him jumped by guys, and he won't know what day it is. This was a blackmail tit for tat. Not a great idea. This mom and daughter could have phoned authorities. Instead, Mahek wanted to take matters into her own hands, and Ansreen was happy to let her do it. Anything if Ali could be kept in the dark. In February 2022, Saqib decided he was going to let Ansreen go if she paid up for all the gifts he'd bought her. Another quick side note, don't buy people gifts expecting their love in return, and don't ask for refunds if it doesn't go your way. Ansreen felt trapped, though. If she didn't pay him the £3,000 he wanted, she risked him exposing or harassing her forever. And even if she did, he could still release the photos he had of her. She had no choice, though, so she said she would contact him with a rendezvous spot. But on February 8th, Saqib was contacted by a friend of Mahek's, a certain Rekan Karwan. He wanted to meet Saqib in Ansreen's place. Worried about a setup, Saqib said they should simply do a virtual money transfer. But Rekan did not respond to this request. Rekan was still discussing possibilities with Mahek when she started receiving more threats from Saqib. On the evening of February 10th, he said he would drive to their home address and make her parents divorce right then and there. Mahek immediately replied and arranged a place to meet, a Tesco parking lot in Leicester. The only problem was Saqib didn't have a driver's license, so Mohammed Hashim Ijazuddin offered to drive him to and from Leicester. Mohammed wasn't even Saqib's first choice. He'd phoned 3 different friends earlier, but none of them were free. Poor Mohammed was caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. Just after midnight on February 11, Saqib and Mohammed arrived at the Tesco parking lot. They were in the car below the Green Arrow. In the Red Arrow car were Mahek and Ansreen, together with Rekan and Mohammed Patel. In the third car under the Blue Arrow were Race and Amir Jamal, cousins of the Bukharis, together with Natasha Akhtar, the car's owner, and Sanaf Gula Mustafa. It was an 8-person mission to off Saqib, Mahek, Ansreen, and 6 friends and relatives. By the time the 2 friends realized it was a setup, it was too late. They left the parking lot and the 2 cars started chasing after them. During the chase, Mahek phoned Saqib and asked him to stop. He refused. So she told him, "Watch what I do to you," and ended the call. Her car, driven by Rekan, hit Mohammed's car repeatedly. Saqib called 999. These were his last words. "There's guys following me. They've got balaclavas on. They're trying to kill me. I'm going to die. They're hitting the car. They're hitting the back of the car really fast. They're trying to ram us off the road, please. I'm begging you. Oh my God." After this, Mohammed's car was hit at 100 miles per hour. The car then hit a curb and flew into the air before it split into two and burst into flames. During her interrogation, Mahek patted herself on the back for her excellent driving.
Always on the left-hand side. This right-hand side car has come now, the Leon, the blue one, has come straight next to me and come right in front of me. Not very close. I've always said to myself, I'm a very good driver when it comes to this. I've been driving for 5 years, 45 years. And I've said to myself, always keep a 2 to 3 second rule gap, always, when I've said to myself. Always done that.
It's funny she thought she could escape justice by saying she was too good a driver to crash into Saqib and Mohammed. She had 7 other friends involved, many of whom confessed. There were also 200 hours of surveillance footage and 300 statements to convict her.
Then Rekhan takes the lead and manages to overtake Score the fact. There's a really heated conversation and then she says, "Watch what I do to you."
Said what, sorry?
Watch what I do to you.
Mahek said that.
Mohammed Patel was cleared of charges for giving a full detailed confession about the incident. Mahek and Rais, who drove the car that unalived Saqib and Mohammed, were sentenced to life in prison. Ansrain and Rekhan received 26 years to life in prison. Before being dragged to prison, Mahek smiled and waved at journalists from the courtroom. She had no remorse. During her trial, she and Ansrain said they had no choice but to deal with the violent, manipulative man Saqib was. Even when they were told they had a million other ways to handle it, they refused to show remorse. Meanwhile, Saqib and Mohammed's families will have to live with this haunting story for the rest of their lives. Imagine how Mohammed's loved ones feel. He was never even involved in Saqib's actions. There is little closure for the victim's loved ones. Thankfully, though, Mahek and Ansrain might never walk free again. Their paroles are set decades away, and without remorse, there can be no parole. Let me know what you think about this case in a comment, and don't forget to check the next video.